For this project, we will be constructing a single pole switch to a light. Let's first start off with these simple tools. From left to right, across the top we have linesman pliers, needle nose pliers, wire strippers, utility knife, 2 rods and screwdrivers, red handle and a green handle. Next is 2 lengths of 14-2 gauge wire. 14 represents the gauge and 2 represents how many wires there are besides the ground wire. One is about 2 feet and the other is about 3 feet. The bottom left to right is a light plate, octagonal box, reciprocal box, toggle switch. Now we did forget to show the wire connectors, but they will be seen later in this video. Let's get started. First we will take our utility knife and cut away about 6 inches of the plastic sheathing on each side. Make sure to cut away from yourself. Never cut towards yourself or anyone else. As you can see, there are 3 wires in the plastic sheathing. 1 ground, 1 hot, which is the black, and 1 neutral, which is the white. Next, grab the wire cutters. It may be hard to see, but I'm pointing to the number 14. This is the one we will use to strip the wires for this project. The wire displays a 14 to show the gauge. Now cut off about 1 inch of sheathing from the hot and neutral wires. Once you have this done, you can go ahead with the other length of wire. Next we will grab the reciprocal box. This is what it looks like. You can see the ground screw and 2 clamps that hold the wires that come to the box securely. First we will grab our shortest wire and feed it into the bottom of the reciprocal box. Make sure that the wire goes under the clamp as this goes into the reciprocal box. The wire must go in far enough so that you can see the plastic sheathing in past the clamp. Next, I'll use the red Robinson screwdriver to tighten the clamp. You shouldn't be able to pull out your wire. Once this is done, grab the other wire and do the same thing as you did before, except now you come in from the top. To keep everything clean, have your wires come in on the same side of the box. As you can tell, both of my wires are in far enough that the sheathing is past the clamp. It should look like this. Next we will use a scrap piece of wire and cut out the copper wire. This is what you'll get. Cut off about a 6-inch piece. I use my needle nose pliers to do this. Now we would take those needle nose pliers and make a clockwise turn to give a small hook that looks like this. To make it easier to work with, bend it on a 90-degree angle as shown. Now we will use the red Robinson screwdriver to loosen the ground screw. Now you can take the copper wire that you just bent and hook it underneath the ground screw. As you tighten the screw, it will also tighten the wire because of the clockwise motion. Now you take your ground wires and bring them to one side. You should have 3 altogether. Now you can use your linesman pliers to cut all these at the same length. Once they are the same length, use those linesman pliers to do what is called a pig's tail. This is basically just twisting the wires all together, and the purpose is to make sure that there's a good contact with all your wires. This must also be done in a clockwise motion. Make sure to use the tip of your linesman pliers to make this easier. Go as far as you can with your twists, right down to your sheathing. Once done, take the linesman pliers and cut your wires on a sharp angle to give you a point like this. Here's the wire connectors that we forgot to show at the beginning. These twist onto your wires to help them stay together and not come into contact with anything else to help prevent it from grinding out, depending on what you're connecting. These should be tight enough that you cannot pull them off. Next we will separate the hot and neutral wires. The hot goes on the right side as if it were to be attached to the wall, the neutral on the left. The reason your hot wire goes on the right side is because most people are right-handed. So when an electrician or yourself places a toggle switch, their right hand is holding the screwdriver. Your toggle switch may have on and off written on it, or maybe just a dot like this one. When it's placed in the on position, you have it orientated correctly. So grab your needle nose pliers and make clockwise turns on both of the hot wires like this. Grab your green Robinson screwdriver for this part. When you're done, you will want it to look like this. You cannot see the copper wire. You may need to cut a little bit off and bend it again to get it right. I did. Now we will deal with the neutral wires. Line up your wires so that the place where you remove the sheathing is lined up, and make a cut if necessary to make the exposed copper wire the same length. Do your pigtail once again, make sure you twist all the way and make your angle cut and add your wire connectors. As you can see here, you cannot see any exposed copper wire. This is a must. You should be able to take a spare piece of wire and not be able to touch any copper. If you can touch copper, you risk grounding out, so make sure it's covered well. Now let's tackle the octagonal box. Like the reciprocal box, it's 2 clamps, ground screw. New boxes have holes that can be punched out. The reciprocal box that we use already had all the holes removed. This one doesn't, so here's how you can remove it. Take the wire that leaves the reciprocal box and put it through the hole and under the clamp like you did in the reciprocal box. Once again, make sure that the sheathing is far enough in the box. Once it is in, use the red Robinson screwdriver to tighten the clamp. You should be able to pull on all these and not move them. Since this is the end of your circuit, the ground wire will have to go directly to the ground screw. Take your needle nose pliers and make a clockwise turn on the end of the ground wire and place it underneath the ground screw. Tighten this with the red Robinson screwdriver. Once you're finished, you should not be able to see the curl on your copper wire. Now you can make clockwise turns on your hot and neutral wires so they can be attached to the light plate. For the screws on the light plate, there should be at least one screw that is bronze and at least one that is not. The hot wire attaches to the bronze and the neutral wire to the other screw. They are both tightened using a green Robinson screwdriver. Technically, there should be less wires showing than what we have right here, but we have a lot of room so we can get away with it. This should now complete your circuit. Let's test it out. You want to test this with a low power source. If you test it by plugging it into the wall, you risk getting a shock or causing a fire. and it works. Here is a schematic of the circuit that we just constructed. As you can see, we have 3 wires just as we did in the circuit. 1 hot, 1 neutral, and 1 ground. The black dots you see are the connections that we made between the wires and or elements. The small orange symbol represents the ground connections we made. Lastly, the orange dotted lines represent the reciprocal and the octagonal box to show what is inside each box.